professional microphone plugged in. I stopped the recording because I thought that the microphone was not turned on at all. And I also noticed that my professional gaming headset, that I have like my nice professional microphone on, wasn't plugged in, and I freaked out and stopped the recording. But I found out that the computer microphone, thank gosh, was plugged in so that I don't have to completely redo all the problems from the first half at least. But the problem is when I record using the computer and then I'm also drawing on the computer, you can hear every single piece that I'm writing, which I find a little bit annoying. Maybe in the future I'll re-record it, but not right now. So just put it on mute. You don't have to listen to me. So we're gonna go to 27 because that's where I left off. We went through all of 24. So an 8-kilogram infant requires a continuous infusion of a drug to run at 1 milliliter an hour and to deliver 4 micrograms of drug per kilogram per minute. Calculate the milligrams of drug that must be added to a 100 ml intravenous infusion. So we are talking piggyback. So we are going to multiply the 8 kilograms to find out how much this patient needs. And so that will cancel those out. And then we find that they need 32 micrograms a minute. And then we want to find out how many in an hour. So 32 micrograms a minute times 60 minute in an hour. Or yeah. And then you find that is 1920 micrograms. And then want to multiply that by 100 for the milliliters. And you find that is 2,000 micrograms. And they want to know how many milligrams. So you divide that by 1,000. And you find that is 192 milligrams that you need to add. All right, now our next problem is number 30. All right, an intravenous fluid of 1,000 ml lactated Ringer's injection was started in a patient at 8 a.m. and was scheduled to run for 12 hours. At 3 p.m., only 800 ml of the fluid remained in the bottle, so only 200 ml was used. At what rate of flow should the remaining fluid be regulated using an IV set that delivers 15 drops per milliliter to complete the administration of the fluid on the scheduled time? So the nurse probably came in and went, "Oh, that's not good." So 7 hours have passed. And so that means over 12 hours. So you have 5 hours left. So how many minutes is that? You want to multiply that by 60. Let's figure that out. That is 300 minutes left. And so we have to use the rest of that fluid. So that's 800 milliliters divided by the 300 minutes to find milliliters a minute. And we find that is 2.6 milliliters a minute. The line over this just means it's repeating. So instead of writing 2.6666666, you just put that line over it. For people who don't know mathematical abbreviations, I don't know if I've explained that before. All right, and then the 2.6, repeating milliliters a minute. And you want to multiply that by the 15 drops a milliliter. So then that cancels out. And so you find that you need 40 drops a minute. All right, 31. Okay. If a physician orders 5 units of insulin to be added to a 1 liter intravenous solution of dextrose 5W to be administered over 8 hours, how many drops per minute should be administered using an IV set that delivers 15 drops per milliliter? And how many units of insulin would be administered in each 30-minute period? So, first thing is, why would you add insulin to a bag? Well, sometimes patients, if they're very compromised and have been severely injured, um, there's a theory that you want to kind of relieve their body of any stress. So if you're adding sugar and you want to get it into their cells, you can add insulin to the bag. Or so that's been explained to me. The other thing is that you might have a patient that just doesn't have the ability to make insulin, and so this is another way. But some doctors think that that is better for healing, and so it's like refeeding syndrome. It's that is when people are starved, and then you reintroduce them to food. Um, so like anorexics, bulimics, people from third world countries, war torn. This happened during the Holocaust too. So to get grim, that their bodies were just not used to creating as much insulin. And so some of those patients will basically just die from having too much food in their body. So this is one way to kind of combat that to a certain extent and prevent that. But it's not as extreme as refeeding, but it's kind of the same theory. And plus, 5 units of insulin is not a ton. I mean, that's very, very little. So, but there are theories behind this stuff. So let me find this. So we want to take our 1,000 milliliters. I want to figure out. It's over 8 hours, so we want to figure out how many minutes, milliliters a minute. So that's 2.083 milliliters a minute. And then we have to figure out, so 2.083 milliliters a minute. And then you have 15 drops per milliliter. So you find drops per milliliter is 31.25. But then again, you have to round this to 31 because you can't have a quarter of a drop on the infusion set. So that is your one answer in this. And then your other answer is 5 units. How many half hours in an hour? So or times 2. You can do it this way too. You can do just times 2. But I'm just showing. So you have 0.3125 units for every 30 minutes. So that is your other one. Next problem. Doing the next problem. Let me see. What is the next problem? 43. Let me go find this. Where is this? That's 44. Aha. This is a problem with zooming in. I can't see anything. But then you can see everything. Okay, so this one I think is probably the most difficult out of this whole set. So if you can do this one and you got it correctly, I congratulate you because you know what you're doing. So a pharmacist places 5 milligrams per milliliter of acyclovir, which is another, it's a cyclic antibiotic, so cycle, in 250 ml of D5W for parenteral infusion into a pediatric patient. So pediatric's a kid. If the infusion is to run for 1 hour and the patient is to receive 500 milligrams per meter squared body surface area, what would be the rate of flow in milliliters per minute for a patient measuring 55 centimeters in height and weighing 10 kilograms? So we first have to, let me write down everything. So we have, all right, 5 milligrams per milliliter. We're going to do 250 ml, or yeah, of D5W. This is a cyclovir. All right, we're doing this over 1 hour, and it's 500 milligram per meter squared. And then this kid is 55 centimeters and 10 kilograms. Okay. So we're going to do both. I'm going to do it both ways so that you can see which BSA. So I'm going to split this down the middle to do the body surface area. So your body surface calculation, the one that I like to use, is height times weight over 3,600, and you find, and you take the square root of that, and you find that that is 0.39 meters squared. If you use the other formula, I believe this is the Holman, like one of these is the Holcroft and the other one's like the other, it's like Dubois formula. There's like 20 of these. Then the other one is 0.0425 times 55 to 0.725 times 71.84 over 10,000. And you find that this one is 0.349 meters squared. Okay, so you found your two different ones. Now you're going to try to find your dose for this. So you find that for this one, it's 195 milligrams. This one is 174.5 milligrams. And then you want to divide that by 5. So 195 divided by 5 This is milligrams. Or actually, let me make this nice and neat so that you guys can actually see what we're doing. So you're going to divide that by 5 and find that it is 39 milliliters to add on that one. And this one is 34.9 milliliters. And then you have to figure out what would it be in milliliters per minute. So we have our milliliters, and then we have to figure out the minutes. So you take your 39 and you divide it by 60 minutes because this is going to run for 1 hour. And you find that that is 0.65 milliliters a minute. So that's for this one. And then for the other one, find 34.9 divided by 60 minutes. And you find that that one is 0.575 milliliters a minute. So in the book, this is the right answer because it's closer. This one is within the range. So when I was doing this problem, I looked at the different formulas and I went to the different ways. So we use, I think, the Mosteller formula and the Haycock formula in our class. So this is the Mosteller, and then the Haycock. No, we use Dubois. Yeah, it's Dubois and Mosteller. So Mosteller is the easier one to use, and that's one of the ones that most people use, but Dubois is more accurate. When you're doing various amounts. So when you're doing like little kids less than 10 kilograms, this is another thing I found that you just when there's a certain amount of weight, it's just not going to be accurate enough, whereas the other one's going to be accurate enough. So I'm hoping on the final that he doesn't give us something that's 15 kilograms or lower. But this is from another book that says that if it's below 15 kilograms, you have to use the other one. So just letting you know that that's what I found. But I found that the range of different ran from 0.44 meters squared to 0.02 meters squared. And when you do one of those, you'll find that the amount of infusion is milliliters a minute, or it will be 0.73 milliliters a minute. So for me, if I was to write an exam and I had a question like this, I would make this like a fill in the blank and have the acceptable range of answers to be from 0.73 to 0.33. But to be honest, these are probably within the therapeutic index, and so it's probably okay to run either one of these, to be honest, in real life. But, I mean, you want to have the right answer, not actually know what you're doing in real life, right? So 44 is very simple. 48 is pretty simple. All right. So for 44, aminophylline is not to be administered in pediatric patients at a rate greater than 25 milligram a minute to avoid excessive peak serum concentrations and possible circulatory failure. What should be the maximum infusion rate in milliliters a minute for a solution containing 10 milligrams per milliliter in a 100 ml D5W bag? So take our 100 ml, figure out how many milligrams are in this whole entire bag. And so we find that that is 1,000 milligrams. And then we're going to take that 1,000 milligrams and find out how many minutes that we can infuse that. So 25 milligrams for every 1 minute. And so we find that that is 40 minutes. And then you take your 100 milliliters and divide it by 40 minutes to find your milliliters a minute. And you find that that is 2.5 milliliters a minute. Okay. And then instead of doing number 49, because 49 does not exist, I did 48, which is, there's a bunch of them that are kind of in this vein. So I could have pulled any of them and you still would have gotten the same idea. But so for 48, Cardene, the cardipine hydrochloride, which is a heart medication. I believe it has to do with rhythm. Any of the penes are from, they're from a certain subclass of drugs that are old, but they're all, I believe they all have to do with rhythm, but some of them might be something else, or I'm mixing stuff up. But it is a heart medication, and you can see that because it's got card in it in the brand name. Usually the brand name will sometimes tell you what it is. It'll be like Diabeto, the diabetes medication, so that's always the funniest thing is when you see like new drugs. Like there's a new one. Oh, what is the one there's a new medication that just came out. Oh, a Jovi. I'll spell it. So this new medication came out. And so like the whole entire thing in their advertisement is like jumping for joy kind of stuff. So a lot of times the marketing people are pretty funny and they usually come up with the names. So that's just something that you'll notice as time goes on. But so sorry, got sidelined. All right, so this cardiac drug is administered short-term treatment of hypertension by slow intravenous infusion at a concentration of, oh, it says it's it's hypertension. Never mind. Not a rhythm thing. 0.1. All right, so we have a 10 milliliter ampule containing 25 milligrams. Should be added to what volume of D5W to achieve the desired concentration of infusion? Okay, so we have 25 milligrams. We're going to divide that by, to find out how many milliliters. And that is 250 mLs. So we need a 250 ml bag, but we're going to add this to it. So it already has 10 milliliters. So we need 240 mLs. So that is what we need. So that is C. You need, and then that is it for this. But yeah, I hope I didn't go too off the beaten path. This one is just look out if it's greater than 15 kilograms, you can use this one. If it's less than 15 kilograms, you can use that problem. So that is what I found from another book. In our book, it doesn't really say which one, but this stuff isn't super hard. It's just tedious. I wish I had made a video for chapter 12, but I might do it later. All right, have a good one.